Let's go. Welcome back to the Big Idea to Bestseller podcast. I got my man Tyler Wagner in the house. Now, Tyler is the founder at authorsunite.com, but Tyler has been around this book space for quite some time. He has done some incredible work. He has helped some unbelievable people get some unmatchable results. And I'm really excited that we're going to get a chance to break it down. So, Tyler, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you, dude. That was one of the best intros. So I might clip that for a later. That's awesome.
There we go. There we go. But I'm excited about this, dude, because, I've written three of my own books. And, we actually talked a few years ago when I was getting ready for my book and I was wanting to learn what you got going on. I'd heard about you. You do an incredible job marketing yourself and you're in the business of marketing. And so talk to me about how you got into the book marketing space. Have you always loved books? Did it just kind of be serendipitous? Take me through that
Yeah,
journey.
yeah. That's perfect starting point. So I was actually talking to a new client last night at dinner about this. So when I was younger, and I won't go down the whole rabbit hole of how the school system is failing everyone. I won't do that to everybody. But my thing is, like, when I was younger, I thought I hated reading. But what I later discovered, it was just more that every book that I was forced to read in a class, I just didn't like those books. Right. And I just wish like a teacher or something had told me that when I was younger, because I really did all the way until I was 19. And I feel like I really read my first book that I actually like was engaged in. That was the 4 Hour Work Week. And that just sent me on like a spiral, man. Like, I read that book, changed my life, decided to drop out of school. I went crazy. I was ordering like 20 books a day on Amazon, like on a credit card. I didn't have any money. Like, I was addicted to books. So it was a good addiction, but nonetheless, it was an addiction. And then what happened though is, after I dropped out of school, I decided I wanted to be a public speaker. I was like, I've always been told I have like good charisma and I can do that. Whereas like my major in college was accounting, and you put me in a room all by myself and tell me to like crunch numbers, it is not going to happen. Like, I just can't do it. So regardless, I write my first book called Conference Crushing. It's like this little book on networking at conferences, like basically how to network. And it hit Amazon bestseller, which was great. This was like 10, 11 years ago. So I was like 19, 20 years old. And it actually worked. Like, I got hired to speak at conferences here and there. But what took off way quicker is people started asking me, hey, dude, like, how'd you write the book? How'd you publish? How'd you market it? Probably similar to yourself. Like, it's one of those things that you realize when you're in the space that almost everybody wants to do it. But life gets in the way, limiting beliefs, whatever it is. And then the biggest thing on the book marketing side is I realized there was no publishers, because when I went through the process myself, there was no publishers that also offered marketing. And I was like, wow, what if there was a publisher that also did the marketing? And that's essentially what Authors Unite is it's like all encompassing. It doesn't stop at the publish. And yeah, I fell into it. And yeah, 10 years later, here we are.
Dude, I love that. I remember I wrote my first book. Now, I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I just wrote it. I wanted to do it. I retired from the Lakers with Kobe. When he retired, I retired. And I launched my first book. And the same thing happened. People started booking me to speak. I didn't even know you could make money as a speaker. I thought that's what old people did to give back. And I started getting paid to speak. I was like, this is a kid's dream at 23. And then people started asking, well, how'd you write the book? How'd you do it? And it took me, 6 years before I like officially was really teaching it over and over and over again. But you're so right, dude. Like, there is not a whole lot out there of what happens after the book, right? So what have you found? I mean, you said 10, 11 years ago you wrote this. What are some of the biggest changes that you've seen in terms of book marketing, and in terms of the traditional versus self-publishing side of things in the business?
Yeah, I think, and it's funny. So there are, I am partnered with a lot of publishers. So what I'm about to say, I'm not digging at any of them, just to be clear. It's more so that like they just don't offer marketing. And I think that that's like a misconception that a lot of people have, that they think if they land this deal with like HarperCollins or some like the top five or any of these traditional publishers, that they're actually going to take care of everything for them. And that is just like very much not the case at all. So what I've seen more and more is I just think the value of a traditional publisher, I think, has gone down. I do think, like, look, there's brands out there are great. Like, if you have the opportunity to have Penguin publish you, I say take it. You know what I mean? Like, why not? I think that's awesome. Great for the resume. Do it. But just realize that, like, they're probably going to take 80% of the royalties. They're only going to take you on if you can already prove to them that you can sell a lot of books. So it is more that it's a branding thing. It's not that they're going to just lay out the red carpet and do everything for you. So I've just seen more people shift into self-publishing. I think that's been the biggest thing over the last 10 years. Audiobooks, that's been another big thing that I've been seeing. And then also, I think the misconception of bestseller as the end, I think now people are realizing it's the beginning. And that's when I hop on a call with someone, my first question is always like, why are you writing the book? Or like, what's your expectation? Because once I know that, then I know if I can either get the person there or I can't. And if I can't, then I won't offer our services. But if I can, then I will. And not as much anymore, but I'll say maybe like 10% of the time. And 10 years ago, it was over 50%. People would be like, hey, I just want to hit bestseller, and then, everything will be good from there. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works at all. Like, once you hit bestseller, it actually is more work after that, because you want to leverage that accolade for PR, speaking, whatever it is. So I just think the general market is starting to understand it more. And bestseller is amazing, but it's not the end of the road. It's the beginning. So I'd say that's one of the biggest shifts.
That's hugely valuable for people who are listening to this and who are writing the book. You got to understand what's your end game, right? If you want to be a bestseller, why do you want to be a bestseller? There's often an extra layer there, right? And I know a lot of people that you work with, it's building the business on the back end, or it's scaling what already exists, or it's raising speaking fees, or whatever it may be. That accolade, like you said, I love how you framed it, is that's the beginning, right? And there's a lot of work. So what other type of marketing do we want to think about as authors? Do we want to think about a Wall Street Journal USA Today bestseller? Do we want to talk about using our book to go get speaking engagements? What are some of the things that you've seen that really work, and what do you guys specialize in?
Yeah. So if I can actually kind of just lay out like a dummy plan, I guess I'd put it. And I don't mean dummy as like not intelligent. I mean like actual, like a dummy plan.
Yeah.
And so, I'll start with this. There's 5 major bestseller lists, right? There's Amazon, Barnes and Noble, USA Today, Wall Street, and New York Times. There are other lists, but those are like the 5 core ones. And I always tell people at this point, like, you might as well become a bestseller, because, as you know, like, Amazon bestseller is not that difficult, right? Like, you can put it in an easy category and sell like 50 books in a day and you're a bestseller. But here's the truth of it, is like 99% of the world still doesn't know that. So only the people in the know it. So I just think minus, well, like, why not do it? And I'm not suggesting put your book in like an irrelevant category. Make sure it's still relevant. But the truth is, if your book's on Amazon and you're not a bestseller yet, you just really aren't putting any effort in. Like, it's just not hard. So might as well get that accolade. But let's say you did Wall Street Journal, USA Today, or New York Times. Those ones are respected by the people that are in the know, because the people in the know that you really can't game those. Like, let me put it this way. I mean, you could game them, like, there's a way to do it, but you have to sell thousands to tens of thousands of copies. So yes, there is a map or whatever to get there, but you really can't fake like 10,000 sales unless you've done the work. Like, it's just not, I don't know how you would do that. Like, it's just impossible. So if you hit one of those 3, that's going to open up a lot of doors on the media front. So when we work with a client, it looks something like this. So they'll finish their book, and we already have like the actual launch plan. So the book comes out, that first week of release is to go for whatever bestseller list they're going for. So you focus on as many sales as you can in a 1-week time frame. If it's Wall Street Journal, really you need like 5,000 sales minimum in a week, depending on competition. So that, let's just say it's 10,000, 9,000 go through Amazon, 1,000 go through Barnes and Noble. And then you hit USA Today, Wall Street, Amazon, and Barnes and Noble. You have those accolades. Then you turn around, you have a PR firm ready to leverage those accolades and get you blogs, podcasts, TV, whatever it is. Because the equation that I've seen work for books over and over, I'll use an example of a previous client. So his name's Dr. John J. Quish, and weightlifting is a waste of time. So controversial title, right? And the content is amazing. Like, the stuff works. So that book, we got it to Wall Street Journal bestseller, and then he already had a big following, had a lot of media lined up, and it kind of hit like a tipping point if you're familiar with like Malcolm Gladwell's book. And what happens is the controversial title gets people talking. So then you need to get it in enough people's hands. If it transforms enough people with the content, they'll tell their friends, and then it literally will have a life of its own. So the whole media point is like just to keep it top of mind. So you hit bestseller, leverage it once a week. You have a new media hit, and it's just, and then you're posting on social media. And then after that, if there's a business on the back end, we grow it mostly through partnerships. So what I always tell people is, and it could be for the book too, but you want to find people that offer complementary services. So we offer other things, but our core is book marketing. So actually, the way we've grown our business pretty much solely is just connecting with all book publishers, ghostwriters, editors, and PR agencies. Those are 4 types of companies or people that work with our clientele. So instead of trying to go after authors, we just partner with tens of thousands of these types of people and build referral relationships. And then, we wake up every day to referrals now. So you can do that with any business, right? Like for him, weightlifting is a waste of time. It's a workout product. Find masterminds of like elite entrepreneurs. They want to be healthy, connect with the mastermind founder, create an affiliate partnership, gym trainers, whatever it is, there's something you could find and you can scale that. So that's what I'd say. It's like bestseller, media, and then partnerships. Those 3 are my core marketing levels.
Yeah, you're firing me up, dude. Good start, dude. Like, let's go. So look, I think we addressed some important things. I want to recap this before we move on. Is that look, there's various different types of bestseller lists. The way of which you hit those lists is dependent on a variety of factors, and some of them are harder to hit, some of them are easier to hit. But the people that are in the know, they know certain things. But for the majority of the world and almost every one of your customers, hitting any bestseller list is going to be good enough to giving you that credibility for them to see you as somebody that is like, oh shit, like they're legit, right?
100%.
And so that's the one thing, right? Is there's different bestseller lists. And if you want to figure out how to hit which one's best for you, go look at them again and then hit Tyler up and ask him, hey, what do we got to do? Let's work together, right? And the second component of that is you kind of broke down, why the book launch is really just the beginning of everything that's to come. So we talk about you launched a book, you do the best you can in that week. Then you move on to getting the media to leverage those bestseller lists. And then you use that media and the inbound and the social media and the content to then create the partnerships. So,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
so let's talk about this partnerships, because you also run Infinite Partnership System. It's something that you've built up over time now because of this whole process. Now, somebody might say, oh gosh, partnerships. Everyone always talks about partnerships. It seems impossible for me to create it. How do you actually go about creating these partnerships? And is there like a time frame that you've noticed it takes before you can develop a partnership, a legit partnership with a different type of person or business or industry?
Yeah. So, okay. So there's a couple things there. So the bestseller and then the media is really for 2 things. It's the first thing is really just branding, right? So again, it opens the door. So if you have best-selling author next to your name and you've been featured in Forbes and Good Morning America, let's just say like 2 big ones, and you're a bestseller, people are going to open emails a little bit more often, right? So I think that's kind of the biggest picture with those. And then the consistent media is just continuously getting it in front of people. And if you're going to do that, just like a side thing real quick is I would always, anything you get featured on, I would always like put it, and testimonials, like put that on your website and have a Facebook pixel in there and have retargeting going, right? And what I mean is anybody who ever like goes to your Instagram, your Facebook page, or your website, if you set it up right, you could spend like $10 a day. It's not that much. And people will literally see whatever you want them to see until the end of time, until they literally tell Facebook, I do not want to see this individual ever again. And like most people don't set that up. So set up retargeting, because it, what's that study? It's like, it takes like 7 touch points for people to buy something. That's like the average study. So the partnerships though is like more the next level of once you have that brand built, now let's scale partnerships. And the reason I like partnerships is there's really no risk to it. And what we do, I'll use Authors Unite as an example. we actually reach out to over 1,000 people a day. This is going to sound crazy, but I want to take everyone here because it just works. So I'll give the exact template. So our initial reach out just says potential collaboration. That's the subject line. Hey, their name. So I have virtual assistants that do the initial, and it's personalized. So it says, hey, their name. I noticed we both work with authors. There might be ways we can collaborate. Tyler, authorsunite.com, or one of our sales reps that's being sent for. And then typically the response is, I'd like to learn more, or like, what do you mean? Or like, how can we collaborate? So and if anybody has studied copywriting, you know, the reason for the headline is to just get them to open the email. And then the reason for the first sentence is to get them to read the second sentence. And that's the whole idea, is you're kind of just like inching someone along to get them to the end. And the problem that most people do when they do reach outs, and I'm sure you've gotten this on LinkedIn, is they will send you like an actual book, like a novel message. And it's like, nobody reads that. And it feels like a pitch. So what you want to do is a 2-sentence potential collaboration that it perks their curiosity. They respond, then you respond, and then you give a little bit more context. And you're like, hey, you're a publisher. I help people hit the New York Times or Wall Street Journal. I think there's ways we could work together. If you're open to a short intro call, here's my link. And that's authorsunite.com/connect. It's pixeled. So then the publisher books the call. And then let's say they book it for next week. By the time they get on the phone with me, they've seen like 20 video testimonials on Facebook and Instagram. So, and other PR hits that I've had. So by the time I'm on the call with them, the trust is already built, and they're more actually at that point, like trying to sell me on working with them, even though I'm the one who reached out to them. So it's this whole, and then the last part of it is like doing it at scale. And this is kind of, I think, the biggest eye opener is, look, referral relationships is the like most basic way of marketing, right? Like everyone knows that. I'm not creating anything new here. I think the new concept that I've kind of figured out is doing it at scale, because everybody I've talked to, they're like, I'll be like, how many referral relationships do you have? They're like, I have a few. Like I have this one publisher, this one PR agency. Sometimes I get a client here and there. And to me, I always think, I'm like, okay, well, if that's working, why wouldn't you want to have 10,000 more of those people? You know what I mean? And that's when it hit for me, is I had a publisher that was worth over $1 million for me in 1 year. I didn't know it until I looked in my CRM and I started to look like where all the business was coming from. And I was like, oh my God, all I need is 20 more or 19 more of this. And I have a $20 million business. So that's when I hired all these VAs, and I was like, we are finding these people. Like we are going for this. So it's at scale, and it's actually really simple. You just have to be willing to do that reach out, hop on those phone calls, build the relationships. And then over time, to answer the last part of your question, like I'd say on average now it's very quick because we have so much social proof. In the beginning, it took a few months, I'd say, to establish, but now it's kind of at a point where it's like, we've done like 3,000 books or so now. So it's like, just look here, and like if that doesn't work for you, then you're just super paranoid. You know? Yeah.
Okay, man. So I'm gonna put you in a rapid fire hot seat segment here, only on questions related to what you just said. The reason I'm gonna go rapid fire is because if you want to answer it, you can go as deep or as little as you want, because I know those are some of your secrets. How many VAs do you have to get to 1,000 at a time?
Okay, so I have a lot of VAs. Just for that, I think we have 4 VAs, and we're doing, hold on, I think they're each doing 4 hours a day. So 16 hours a day to do over 1,000 messages a day.
Okay, and with that, are they all using one email address, or do they have different email addresses so that Google doesn't say, "Holy, how are you doing so many outreaches?" Right?
Oh, beautiful question. Because I almost missed, I am so glad you just said that. I almost missed one of the biggest parts of this. So this is not direct emails. This is the website contact form, and it's LinkedIn. So LinkedIn has a max of, if you have sales nav, you can do 1,000 a month, which isn't that much, but website contact forms, unlimited. So what it is it's my email in the contact form, not mine much anymore. Now it's the sales reps, but like, yeah, contact forms. That's the magic.
I'm so glad you said that because like that's something that I do too. Is like you don't want to get flagged for spam. You don't want to do things that are spammy in general. So like doing that allows you to create customization while also still really building that rapport at scale. So I love that you do that. And I think that that tip right there, boom, someone's going to change their life right there. All right, with this, I know that you are mentioning the 2 sentence intro. Somebody who's not interested in that isn't going to be interested in the longer form one anyways, right?
Mhm.
So what do you find? Do you have a general open rate or response rate that you know off the top of your head?
So I don't know what it is exactly. I could discover it, but if I had to guess based on the 1,000+ reach outs that we do a day, and then based on like how filled all my sales reps calendars are, it's probably like 30%, 40% in that range of the response. But then what leads to a phone call, I'm going to say probably like 20%. So one out of every five is a call, probably.
And when in your business, okay, because someone that's listening to this is like, holy shit, this seems like a freaking production, which it is, and you've done a great job of doing it. At what point of the business did you say, this is now the next phase? We're doubling down on this. I'm going to go hire these assistants. We're going to start doing this much outreach. These are the salespeople who are going to fill. I mean, you have to put together a team to be able to execute this plan. So, at what point of the business did you get there?
Yeah, so it was I think it was around 5 years ago. I think it was when we hit seven figures for the first in a year the first time. And that's when I realized I couldn't get to eight without a team. And that was because my calendar, I was literally doing most weeks, I was doing over 100 calls a week. So that was like 20-minute calls from like it was like I don't know, it was over 20 calls a day, 5 days a week, literally every week. And then the weekend is when I would make sure all the clients I had were good. So it was like it was madness. And so that's when I realized I was like, okay. And by the way, I was doing these reach outs myself too at first. So I was literally copying pasting the same message and one by one. I always just was like that. I was willing to grind, regardless. So that's when I was like, okay, if we're going to get to eight figures, I need a team. So that's when I got VAs, and then I found sales reps that would actually work just on commission. And so yeah, that's when it was. And I think that's most of the time what happens is, as entrepreneurs, we hit limits, and it's like it which turn into a short period of like not failing, but like it was a bad time for a little bit, right? I was stressing and things were breaking, but that then led me to letting go and being like, all right, dude, you just hire people. It's time. So that's what it was.
All right, so we'll go off the rapid fire round. You
Yeah.
crushed it. Um, the last question here, and then we'll go back into the book stuff. Is this? You seem like a guy that's highly productive and highly efficient in everything that you do. And if you weren't always that way, you seem to figure out that system, that process. If you had to pick three pieces of technology that have improved your life over the last 5 years, what would they be? And this could be in business or in personal life, but I feel like you got some good shit that you use.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. So one right off the bat, I'll say is Basecamp. That's a project management system. There is no way I remember many years ago, like my whole business was running with our clients through email. Dude, no way. You cannot at this scale. No way. You'll go nuts. So Basecamp, the way my brain works, Basecamp to me is just so amazingly set up. So that is for like working with clients and like project management. Um, what's this called? Sorry, Pipedrive. So Pipedrive is our CRM. So that's been just a game changer with like following up with people. Like I always get actually, yeah, you'd be an example because I follow up with you like pretty every once in a while. People will email me and be like, dude, you're always on top of it, like every quarter. And I'm like, well, I have a good CRM. I know when the last time we connected is. I have notes on everybody. Like I'm very organized with all my relationships. And I just think that like, I don't know, it's just the way my brain works. And I think that you should be. And then I guess the last one, there's probably a lot of other ones, but the last one I'll say is just Slack, which I feel like is like a little bit of a cop out, but just for messaging, right? Like that's definitely helped a lot to just have my internal team, all of us be in there and for quick messages. So those three have kind of run the whole business, actually, those three platforms.
Yeah, those are huge. The what I want everyone to do is after you're done listening to this, obviously go check out Tyler and all that good jazz. But what I want you to do is I want you to go to his Instagram or go to authorsunite.com, and then what I want you to do is watch what happens. All right, a lot of times, there's amazing people that come on podcasts, and Tyler, you've done an incredible job of showing us, kind of giving us the secrets almost of what it really is, right? You're no BS guy. You're giving it to us straight. And I see those ads that you're talking about. So as you're talking about, I'm like, okay, I see those. There's a testimonial, there's a PR push. I see it followed up by a very structured Instagram strategy. I see the call links. I see the inbox every month. You're in my inbox. Look, I don't care if I know it's automated or if it's coming for you, but the point is I see your name. And what people don't necessarily recognize here is that you need to be frequency and recency when it comes to networking. You need to be touching people at many touch points, and you need to be recent in their mind so that when they need what you have to offer, you're the first person they think of. And that's something that I think you've said over and over again with this partnership creation with your team, that you've done such a good job. And you've been able to set it up in a way where you don't even have to do most of it anymore. It's either automatic or you have a VA doing it, and that's how you get your time back. That's how you go from 7 to 8 figures. That's how you're gonna get to 9. Like, it's gonna be awesome, man. So I just wanted to tell everybody that who's listening is like, go see what he's actually doing, and you can watch it in live time, and then you'll be like, oh, this is my guy. Like, I need to work with him and his team. That's how you do it. That's how you build that trust. So as we kind of hit the tail end here, man, what is your best book marketing tip for a first-time author who, maybe doesn't have a crazy big budget to invest on it, but what would you say is like, hey, I'm a first-time author. What do you recommend to push some book sales and to use it to build my business?
Yeah. Okay. So if they don't have a big budget, and even if they did, right, let's just say you want to mitigate risk. One of the things I've seen work really well, and I actually got this from Gary Vee. He talks about this with content, is documentation over creation. And that was just like, that was huge for me, because I was actually one of those people years ago where I was always hesitant to post because I wanted every post to be perfect. And now, as you've seen with my Instagram, like, there is a plan to it, but it's mostly actually just like video testimonials, and just like, I'm not overthinking. I'm just like, here, let's just post. So going on that though, say if you want to launch your book, reverse engineer, meaning to have a group, right? Start a Facebook group or any platform you want, and start the marketing in the beginning, right? And most people, just because writing a book is so overwhelming to begin with, they write their book, and then at the end is when they think about marketing. So what you can do is start a group in the beginning, and every day on social media, start documenting the process. And it can be as simple as, like, in the morning, you take a picture of yourself and you're like, tried writing today, didn't work, shit, or whatever. So I don't know, or whatever. And like, whatever it is, just get one post a day, and then have a link that points back to your group. Right. And then I've actually seen, her name's Ari Cardos. She was a client from years ago. She built, I think her group was like 3,000 something. And that was over like 9 months. She had built a Facebook group over 9 months. It was like 3,000 plus people. And then when she launched her book, those 3,000 plus people had watched her whole journey, right, of the writing, publishing, and marketing. So then they all supported her and like downloaded a copy, left a review. Obviously not everyone, but you know what I mean? And then that became her launch group. So that's one of the biggest ways I think you could do it. Again, doesn't cost any money, some time, but consistency builds the trust. And then if somebody watches you over 6 to 9 months, you doing the whole process, they feel like they're a part of it. So then they will support you. And that's probably one of the best ways I could, describe doing it with zero budget.
Yeah, that's such a good tip. I tell all of our authors, I try to teach them like habit stacking, right? So you're going to show up for your book time. We have every author put in book time on the calendar. If it ain't on the calendar, it ain't getting done, right? Writing a book's hard enough. You got to make it easier. So I tell them, hey, look, when you do that, you're already going to write your book. So either right before you write your book, you do something for social, or right after you do it, as part of it, you do a quick recap of it. And then you have the habit developed. And so that over time, you've been able to build this audience. You've been able to warm them up. You've been able to get them excited. And boom, book sales are going to come the minute you send out the link, the minute you ask for launch team members, whatever it may be. So I love where your head's at with that. And this has been awesome, dude. This has been absolutely awesome. You've done a great job here of giving people a sample into what it's like to run your business, but also what they can do in terms of understanding how to leverage their business through partnerships and also use book marketing to really grow whatever they want to grow, right? And that's the name of the game, man. So final question here is, how do we connect with you? How do we work with you? How do we follow along? How do we watch your greatness?
Yeah, for sure, man. So anything book related, it's authorsunite.com. And then Instagram's probably my core platform. So that's Tyler B. Wagner. Tyler Wagner is a baseball pitcher, so he took that from me. But and then yeah, you can follow me there and reach out if you have any questions. Happy to help.
Perfect. And there you have it, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Anybody that's listening, if you enjoyed this, grab a pic of you listening to this and tag Tyler and myself on social. We'd love to reshare it. We'd love to get the word out. And then tell Tyler your biggest takeaway. Hit him in the DMs, via email, whatever you got to do. Hit that contact form on his website, right? Use some of those strategies and let him know what your biggest takeaway is. Anytime we're on a podcast, we love getting that feedback. So it's an easy way to build that network and get in touch with people that likely have connections that could potentially change your life. So I appreciate you for being on the show, man. And to everybody else, I appreciate your time, your energy, and your attention. Let's go.